So far, the tutorials you may have seen have probably dealt with scripts and actions that load a new page or entirely reload the current page in order to show new information. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how you can make interactive pages in which actions on a page can cause individual components to update without the need to reload entire pages. It's a good idea to have watched our page builder tutorial video and our data handling videos before this one, or some of the steps may not make sense right off the bat. Ready? Let's begin. First things first, let's drag a text box component, a button component, and a UI label component into our workspace. Feel free to resize each component and adjust its positioning before moving on if you're following along with this video. I'll also use the properties pane of the UI input field component to make the text in line with our input field and say your name. For this example, we're going to make it so that text will be instantly shown in the label area once it is typed into the your name field and the button is pressed. In the properties pane for the button component, we'll click the edit click event pencil to bring up visual coding. Since we're inputting names in this example, I want to automatically place a hello before the name entered in the text field when it's outputted to our label area. For this, I'll drag in a string concatenate block, which allows me to combine two or more texts. I'll connect the start block to the concat block, and on the left you'll see we have several values to be combined. We'll double click our first argument to set value 1 to be a static hello. And for value 2, we'll map that to our input field that we added on the page builder screen just a second ago. As you can see here, mine is called a_UI input_2. We then want to save this combined phrase into a variable we can call on and display later. So go ahead and click add variable, name it message, then map the output value to it. Click OK. Now we'll use the component update block to update our label component without the need to refresh the whole page. In the configuration window, we just need to drag the name of our label component, here mine's called AUILabel4, to the component argument. You'll see some more arguments where we can specify information to be updated, and in our case we should now drag the message variable we just created to the par text argument. Now let's exit out of visual coding, save our page, and test our script by typing something into the live preview. In the process we just went through, our inputted data is just used on this page and isn't saved anywhere else. Instead, let's say before displaying the data, we want to save it to our database so we can use it later on. To do this, we'll delete the label component and instead place in a list view smart component. For this next step, you'll need to have created an empty data collection. I made one earlier and called it names, and I'll use it now. This data collection is where our inputted name data can go to. I'll choose load data from an existing collection, then click names. Again, if you haven't watched our videos on data models and collections yet, this might be a good time to do so. Alright, so I choose my names data collection, then hit OK. Now we need to make a different script for our button, so we'll click on the button, open its click event again to bring up visual coding, and then shift click the visual coding blocks we added in our script before to delete them. Now I'll use a data collection add block and map our names data collection to the collection argument. Then we'll specify which data we want to add to our collection by dragging our UI input field component name over to the text1 field, then clicking OK. Now we need the data on the page to refresh in the background so that it can be used. We'll use a data refresh load data block. I'll drag this block in, connect it, then click OK as I don't have to do any more additional configuration for this one. That will update the data available to our page, but we also need to specifically update the component so that it can use the most up-to-date data. So we'll use a UI component reload block. Connect it, then connect our list view component to the component argument in the blocks config window and click OK. If we've done everything correctly, our script should now add inputted data to our collection, refresh the data so our page has the latest data to draw from, and then reload our list view component so that it displays this data. Go ahead and save your page, then give it a try. Enter a name, press your button, and it should be added to your list view as expected without the need to actually completely reload the page. Hopefully, this gives you a good foundation on how to update individual components on your page, and also how you can make components interact with one another without the need for any full page loads.